Bruce and Steve. It's time for Purple Haze yet again. And joining us for the second time, we didn't scare him off, and to talk about his latest release with his band MOAT is Mr. Marty Willson-Piper. Marty, welcome back to Purple Haze.
Thank you, Bruce and Steve and Purple Haze crew. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, it's been a long time coming to get you here, and it's all been, well, primarily my fault and a kangaroo. The new album, Poison Stream by MOAT, is your second album, and the first album came out, I believe, in 2013. So quite a gap. Why did it take so long to come out with your second release?
Well, I think there's one extremely hilarious answer to that question, and that is that in the olden days, band members all used to sleep in the same bed, but those days are gone.
True.
So we sort of live remotely from each other. I mean, Nico, my partner in this project, he's born in Germany, lives in Sweden. I'm English. I live in Portugal, and we recorded it in Penzance in Cornwall. So, it's all over the place.
Marty, when you're recording, do you actually record bits and send them to each other, or do you wait till you're actually all in the studio together?
Yeah, it differs on different projects. I mean, I'm involved in a lot of different projects, and what I find is that lots of different people like to work in lots of different ways.
True.
So you just have to be flexible as to how the people you work with want to work. And in this case, Nico and I were getting together here and there when I was in Sweden. I'll be usually in Sweden because I was rehearsing with Anecdoten, the Swedish progressive band that I play guitar with.
Yeah.
I would be there, or I'd be visiting my daughter or my granddaughter or something, and Nico and I would get together and write some songs. We'd go out to the countryside and we'd write some songs together, or he would present me while I was there some composition, and I would, we'd work on it together. I'd write words and melodies, and then so we'd sort of like get vague ideas, or more than vague ideas. We'd sort of do demos of the songs, and then I suppose, what happened next? Why did all those years go by? I suppose we just were busy with other projects, and we had to decide. I'm just trying to think why all those years went by. It's just that's how it is these days. Years just fly by, And he's in quite a successful band over there called Weeping Willows, and he was involved in that. And I was playing with Anecdoten, and I was doing, solo tours, and I was in America, and I was in South America, and it was just
you were busy.
Just busy with other things, busy with life and music, and it just time just went by, and finally we found a window where we could work on it, and I had to sort of arrange the business side of it. Who's going to record it? Where are we going to do the actual album? How are we going to pay for it? All that kind of stuff. Are we going to do a big campaign to try and raise some money to make it? And we did do that. But, we had to start making it before we did the campaign. So we had to find a situation where we could start recording and pay later, So all this stuff just takes forever, apart from, writing the songs and writing the words and deciding that the songs which you want to put on the record just takes forever. It just really does. And, you're traveling and you're playing with other people and doing other things. I was working with Anecdoten. I was in Japan with Anecdoten. I was in South America with Olivia. It's just all over the place, trying to find windows for each other to work in together. Well, each person has to have a window.
Exactly. Well, it was worth the wait, Marty.
Yeah, thank you.
It's a fantastic. I'll show Steve what I wrote on my notes here. On the second page. Here we go. What have I got there?
5-star.
There you go.
And he's actually got 5 stars written on there. He's drawn them in.
5 stars. Don't you love 5 stars?
5-star Purple Haze review. That's out of 5. That's not 5 out of 50. Just thinking.
Right. Good. Well, it has actually got every review of this record has been super enthusiastic and positive.
Well,
of course,
reason for that.
You never get it reviewed in the super major press because, I guess as an individual, I'm just not as, young or known or hip or relevant as, the guys in the National are, or Tame Impala or something, So the fact that it's a really great record and everybody loves it, fans, critics, and everybody alike, doesn't mean you qualify for getting into the major press, which would probably also give it a good review. I don't see why not. And then we'd get to a bigger audience and hallelujah. But it just doesn't really work like that. You sort of got to be in the club somehow. And I guess I'm sort of not quite in the club. Despite my history, I'm not quite in the club.
I've got quite a few questions about that later on, but I guess we should go into the track-by-track side of things. What do you think, Brett?
So track 1, Acid Rain, we've been playing here on high rotation on RPP FM. It is a fantastic song. Now, you've written all the lyrics for the entire album, correct?
Yes, I have, yes.
And you sing all of the songs on the album as well?
Yes.
And might I say, you're in mighty fine voice, Marty, too.
Indeed.
Thank you. Thank you.
You flick the pages of your book, trying to find the right line. Then there it is, that famous quote that explains
we worked on these songs, though. You know, this is the thing. I'm not sure that people quite understand sometimes how records are made and what it takes to make a really good record. So I was looking at something on. There was a track on the White album, in that reissue that came out recently, the Beatles' White album, and it was an extra tracks. It was, you know, on different takes, and it was like one of the tracks was take 104.
Amazing.
You know, I mean, these guys, when they did that, they were multi-millionaires. They were the biggest band in the world. They're the most famous people in the world, and they were doing 104 tracks of a song that didn't even get on the album. You know, and it's like, you know, you've got to put a lot of effort into records. Not everything just falls out. I don't know how people think it happens, but not everything just falls out. You can I guess the Sex Pistols made their records pretty quick. I guess Dylan made his records pretty quick. But, you know, they had their bands and they had their, you know, they've been playing and you know, it's the Sex Pistols, it's all attitude and simplicity, despite it being a great record, of course. But some things you need to work on. And a lot of these songs, we really worked, as far as singing is concerned, we really worked on the keys. You know, we really tried to figure out what is the best key for me to sing this song. What is the best key? So Nico would come up with something which he composed, and you know, like as we're talking about the first track, Acid Rain, that's kind of basically a Nico backing track with me trying to find the right melody and lyrics. But we probably worked on what key it would be best for me to sing it in, as we did with every song. So it was trial and error. He's a guitar player, he's a piano player, he also plays pedal steel and bass and piano accordion. So he's very musical and very good at, if I say to him, can we try this one on the piano? He goes, yeah, sure. Can we try it in a different key on the piano? Yeah, sure. Can we go back to the guitar but try it in a different key on the guitar? Yeah, sure. You know, so we did that and persevered, and then I would say to him, you know what? This is the key. This is what works. And Olivia and I do that with our live shows. I have a couple of restrictions with that, because Olivia's a violinist, and what that means is that sometimes some of the songs are a bit tricky to play in certain keys on the violin. But we do try and put the capo up and down the neck till we find the place where it best suits my voice and best works for the violin. Yeah. So I think a lot of you talk about my singing, a lot of effort went into finding the sweet spot. That's what it's about, finding the sweet spot. Some people can just some people have a great range. Some people can sing low and high, and you know, you can sort of throw anything at them and they can do it. But for me, I've got to find the sweet spot, and that's what we did on this, and that's why it works.
I think that's why so many of the tracks have got this really, especially in a lot of the choruses, this beautiful melodic thing going on, especially where the backing vocals come in, and at times where there's violin coming in. It just really works. That's the thing that that was my big takeaway from this album in general. The way those vocals, backing vocals, and the violin quite often just work together in the choruses. Yeah.
Well, you know, it's they have to pretty much let me decide the keys and then hope that they can get along with it, because it's better that I'm happy and them unhappy than me being unhappy and them being happy. You know. Because as the lead singer, you know, that's the thing that people are taking the most notice of, and I'm hoping that that the other musicians are able to in that particular key, especially in a recorded. In live, it's a bit different. If Olivia's having trouble with something live, I can sort of say, okay, I'll change it because you just can't play it there. But in the studio, you know, you can always manipulate the instruments. But that's the place where the vocals are the most naked, the most demand is on you as a performer, as a singer, as a lyricist. You know, the most demand is on you. So you got to get that exactly right, you know.
You've got a pretty damn fine band here. Eddie John plays drums on basically every track that has drums. And your partner in crime in Noctorum, Dare Mason, is doing backing vocals and sequencer on Acid Rain. And of course, Olivia's there. Is there an opportunity, do you think? I know you're all living in different parts of the world, but would there be an opportunity to tour this?
I'd like to think so. But it's kind of hard to do without Nico. Because a lot of the tricky guitar parts, or not well, they are tricky because they're sort of the style that he plays. But it's weird tunings, and he's playing with capos on certain frets, and they're so tricky that we actually had him. We videoed him playing the songs, the basic songs on the acoustic guitar, the ones that he came up with chord progressions for, because we didn't really understand. You couldn't just pick up a guitar and go, "Oh, Acid Rain, I guess that's in D," da 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 da, and play the song. It's not like that. A few of these songs are capo 3, different tuning, weird fingering on the neck, and funny little finger picking motifs. So we kind of really need him to be in the band if we're going to tour any of these tracks. I'm not sure how available he will be to do that. I have toyed with the idea of finding somebody else to learn that style of guitar that he plays. So I just can't be the lead singer and do that kind of thing, So I need somebody who can, so I can relax. Sometimes I play straightforward 12-string acoustic, bit of bass, but generally I'm the lead singer throughout the whole record, and I kind of need to just be that more than anything. I can't be sort of playing, capo 6, weird chord shape. What tuning is it? Is it a 12-string or a 6-string or a mandolin? What is it?
Standing on your head and juggling chainsaws.
Yeah, that's right. I need exactly. I need somebody else to take that responsibility.
Acid Rain, we've been playing here a lot at the station, and we've been getting really good feedback. So,
would you classify that as a protest song?
Yeah. I kind of it's funny because I've just just to sort of jump to something absolutely ridiculously not in context to what we're talking about at all. I've just made a record with Jerome Froese. Sorry, I got the phrasing right. Jerome Froese from Tangerine Dream, and there's a track on there which is called Everything Dies, which is absolutely a kind of a climate change protest song, I suppose. And I suppose Acid Rain you could qualify as that. But there's always, I think sometimes songs don't need to be so literal, a little bit of mystery in there. Who is this character that flicks the pages of her book to find the right line? Who is that? Who is that famous quote that explains away your life? What famous quote? What are we talking about here? You flip a coin, you laugh out loud as it's lost, and then here we are suddenly in the chorus where the world, the dystopian universe is upon us. So a little bit of ambiguity in the lyrics and sort of like shadowy characters that you can't quite see their face, but then sort of some reality is revealed in the chorus. That's kind of one of the skills of lyric writing, I think.
I actually felt it was like first person perspective stuff where you weren't actually saying, here's the story, I'm going to tell you all about it. You were saying, oh, I'm exploring this and I'm discovering that. And I saw this and I saw that. And it's not like the person knows the answer. They're just explaining their experience. That's what it felt like.
I kind of like to say some straight things, some direct things, but I also like to kind of shroud them in intrigue as well. I just kind of think that's sort of a little more powerful than just, hey, baby, get in my car because I really, really like your daddy's $1 million house. I kind of want to sort of create a sort of an interesting context, something that doesn't give it all away, but hints at something. And, a little bit of ambiguity is always helpful in art because it gives the perception of what something is to the imagination of the listener. And I think that's always, it's always helpful to encourage the listener to have their own perception of what something is. And, often what happens is people who don't know each other and haven't talked about it kind of come to the same conclusion, yeah.
Now, track 2, I've spoken to the producers of James Bond. It is the title of the next movie, the one after the one that hasn't been released yet.
Yeah.
Gone by Noon. Yeah. This sounds like a James Bond theme.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Is that your modus operandi? Because it's a fantastic song.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that or not?
Yeah, absolutely. Down, down, da da down.
That's it.
Da da down,
da da da. Yeah, that's very good.
Right. Absolutely. This is another one of Nico's kind of basic compositions with me writing the words and the melody. I mean, some of the melodies come from some of Nico's instrumental ideas, but obviously we have to sort of, stretch them out. I should say that the thing with Nico is that he's been writing songs, although he's a co-songwriter in the band he plays with. He's also done a lot of TV themes, and he's worked with dance, and so he's got a lot of sort of bits and bobs lying around of great snippets of ideas. And we've sort of listened to some of the things he'd done, and he says, this bit was used in 4 seconds of a crime drama I wrote some music for. But it seems such a shame for only to exist for that short period of time, because I can hear somewhere in there that there's a great song, and so we take that snippet and stretch it out and find another part, turn it actually into a song, and then I would go away and not even go away sometimes. I'd sit there and write the words, mess around with the melodies, suggest to Nico maybe it needs to be 2 bars longer in that first verse, and we'd come up with other bits, and sometimes I'd add a bit, I'd pick up my guitar and say, what about this? Or other times he'd just change a little bit what he already had. So that's how we put a song like this together. But there is actually, lyrically, there is actually a nod to a Bond film in it, which is...
I'll have to go back and watch the entire James Bond movies, and I'll let you know which one
After
it
you
is.
caught up with Star Trek.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the line, your game hides the truth, dice, playing cards mirrored in the roof.
Ah, yes, good.
Which is a nod to the remake of Casino Royale. Yeah, which is, if you remember that scene across the table, is it Matt Mikkelsen, who's the Danish actor who kind of plays the villain in that film with a scar across his face, and there's some kind of thing going on between him and Bond across the casino table.
That's right.
And it's really, really great. It's a really, really great, tense scene. And what's her name? Green is in it. The French, what's her name? Eva Green is in it, the French actor.
Yes.
And there's a scene there where the cards, there's a mirror in the roof so he can see the cards of the person he's playing against. And then it goes, you cheat with the best. When you're caught, you're aloof. So there's a sort of a little bit of a nod to a Bond film in the lyrics to that song.
corrupt my heart, infect my soul. Silence spills like a wave in the dark. The films you play, black and white, the final scene, crying and you're gone. The shock in your eyes lies the wailing cries of a tragic fool. Your game hides the truth, dice playing cards mirrored in the roof. You cheat with the best when you're caught. You're aloof, an avalanche that seals a silent shroud. The noise has gone, all that's left, speechless, an empty shell. Love's last tears have fallen down from your cheek. The loaded words ricochet around the room. Exotic birds against the glass. Goodbye. Gone by noon.
Track 3, Helpless You, there's a promotional clip on that particular song.
there is,
Why did you choose that song out of the entire 10 tracks? That was your favourite, or?
No, it was. That's funny because that song was originally written for the first album, but we never realised it. It just didn't come out anything like this. It just didn't come out right at all. So we kept it and decided we'd work more on that in the future, which obviously we did, and here it is on this record. It's a bit more straightforward musically. It's me. I kind of wrote. Nico wrote a lot of the percentage of the music on these first couple of songs, whereas I wrote most of the percentage of the music on this song. So it's a little bit more straightforward on the guitar, 12-string tuned to concert pitch and playing some more straightforward chords and rhythms. So maybe it was a little bit more straightforward as a song. It has that little hook in it, so sad, helpless you. That was kind of a nice little hook in it. And I think the record company guy liked it as he thought it was a strong song, and consequently we should release it just as the album came out. So, I tend to, when somebody at a record company says to me, that's the song you should use for the promo video, I sort of go, yeah, okay. You know better than me. I don't really pretend to know what the, in inverted commas, the marketplace wants to hear,
I think you made a good choice because it's really. When I first heard the album, I thought, yeah, that's the standout first single. Absolutely, that was my first.
Yeah, but times have changed, haven't they? So it's not really. The first thing we released off this album was "Gone by Noon," not because, and that was before the record came out. Not because we thought it was a great, brilliant single. But because it was a strong song. Because we're not really releasing singles as such, because nobody's buying singles and we're not getting in the charts, and it's not going to be the thing that propels the record into the stratosphere of success. So we sort of like releasing songs in order of the mood or the quality of the song itself. And I always thought that "Gone by Noon" was one of the strongest songs on the record. So that came out not because it was a single. "Helpless You" came out because it was closer to an accessible track because the album was coming out. It was the fourth lead track from the album.
Oh, really?
Actually.
Wow.
Yeah, it was the fourth. It was "Gone by Noon." Then it was, what was next? Acid Rain. Yeah, I think it was "Gone by Noon," then Acid Rain, then it was "The Roadmap to My Soul," and then it was "Helpless You." But Dare said he can't listen to this song because the lyrics freak him out.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, maybe it's the verse, "You're locking all the doors as you sharpen your claws and your eyes turn red as you feed on the dead." Maybe it's that verse.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Last night, on my second glass of red wine, I thought to myself, if the Go-Betweens got back together and Grant McLennan was still alive, they'd do a great cover version of this song, but not as good as yours.
Right. Yeah. Oh,
I think it
Grant.
I know. Very sad.
Grant was a lovely man. I really liked Grant.
Yeah. Well, maybe it was the violin playing and Olivia's backing vocals, but
I can imagine a lot of people wanting to cover this song. Actually, it's that sort of song that you wouldn't mind doing. Yeah. Yeah,
it's funny because I've got a song. There's somebody's covering one of my songs, and it's being released tomorrow. You're today. I Don't Think So, from the Hanging Out in Heaven album. Danny Green has done a cover version and a video of it. It's coming out tomorrow. I'll write a thing about it.
The light slips through. You're alone in your room with your secrets and pain, and it's happening again. And all the stars are shards of glass as they fall and you hide till they pass. So sad, helpless you. The dream has gone, and the pictures hang wrong, and you're buried in your books all the doors as you sharpen your claws and your eyes turn red as you feed on the dead. As you cry, as you slide away in the light, see the sign of your decay. So goodbye will deny you pray. Your desires and lusts have locked you away. So sad, helpless you. So sad, helpless you. So sad, so sad, so sad, so
You can't get Harry Styles to do a cover of one of your songs, can you?
Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be good. That would be really good. I was wondering if Celine
Celine Dion.
would be happy to do one of the songs. Or, yeah, I'm working on that. I'm working on that dance routine for the Beyoncé track, which I'm trying to get her to do. But yeah, so Helpless You is, and the video was really interesting. Olivia's been writing some poetry, and she's been doing some, what is it called, Olivia? Some cut up. It's kind of hard to explain, but she clips the words together and puts them into that style, that animated style.
Mm-hmm.
And the girl lives in Morocco who does that video. And she won at some point after she'd been doing some work with Olivia. She said, "Oh, I'll do a freebie for you because you've sort of used me a few times." And we just asked her if she could work on this, and she said, "Yeah, sure." And Olivia chose all the images, and she put them all together. What was her name?
Seg.
What?
Seg.
Seg. Yeah, the girl was called Seg. And is it Casablanca? Is it? Yeah. So that video is put together by Seg in Casablanca in Morocco.
Wow.
Talk about exotic locations and working with people in exotic locations. But this is the one thing about the internet and working remotely. You know, you can be dealing with people. I've got another project coming up, which I think we might have talked about before, which is the Space Summit album.
Yes.
And the girl who does the backing vocals lives in Borneo.
Wow.
So, you know, it's like, small world, really.
Mm-hmm. The next track 4, The Ballad of Sweet Marie. What can you tell us about that song? It's a very moody, has a Leonard Cohen type vibe.
Yeah, it does. Doesn't it?
Yeah, well, you know, you're in Victoria. Nick Cave should record that one. For
Absolutely.
God's sake.
Yeah,
true,
indeed.
true.
You know, it's a murder ballad. You know, it's simply a murder ballad, and lyrically, I think it's kind of one of the better lyrics. You know, hopefully all the lyrics are pretty okay, but I think the lyrics are really good. The spring arrives in shrouds and hoods. Darkness lingers in the woods. The flowers wither as they bud. The grass is browner than the mud. The swallow doesn't reach his tune. He left the south, arrived too soon. But is it not the month of May with dancing girls and bales of hay? Pollen swollen from honey bees, tortoise shells and ears of seed, but stretched across a bloody sky, these angels that are born to die, calamities and all amiss in beauty's metamorphosis. But The shadows reach across the lawn into the throats of the forlorn. They pull at hair, they punch your teeth, come from above and from beneath. They bring down branches from the trees. They make you buckle at the knees. They slip you pills that kill your sleep. They spin you tales that make you weep. They push you into darkened sheds. They plant odd thoughts into your head. They kiss your lovers in full view. They take the lies and make them true. They wish for things that they don't need and welcome Mephistopheles. Rusting hinges on the gate. Shadows cast unsightly shapes. They disappear when you pursue, leaves you there without a clue. Something lingers on your porch. You draw the curtain and drop your torch. A face stares back that cannot be, resembling your sweet Marie. Her life you took the day before and buried deep beneath the floor. Hallucinations fly like spears. Voices penetrate your ears. And to the sound of guilty chants, you slip into the devil's dance. There you go.
Love it.
I was going to say, it's interesting that you're so humble about the lyrics in the album, when I was going to say the lyrics are like one of the high points of the album. It's poetry. It really is. And you don't get poetry like that. Like what you just said then, that works either as a poem or as lyrics to a song. You don't get that with a lot of music these days. A lot of music, it's, hey, baby, you know,
Light my fire.
hump me over here in the corner or something, you know, like it's just not poetic like
Yeah,
that.
I was thinking, I was thinking the other day about, because, the X band always had kind of quite intriguing lyrics. I was thinking how, I think a lot of hip bands these days, it's not like they're catering for the audience, because obviously, people like, I don't know, Kevin is his name, I think, in Tame Impala, who are very successful. Yeah, Kevin Parker. Yeah. Very successful band. He's a really super talented guy. I bought the first 3 albums. I didn't buy the 4th one, but I bought the first 3. So he sort of lost me on the 3rd album. It's kind of like the sound was kind of like always seemed to be finding its way to what people wanted. Whereas in my X band, we were always trying not to be what people wanted. We wanted people to come to us and buy into our thing. We didn't want to have to go to the sound of the day. We didn't sound anything like the sound of the day, and that was the appeal. That was we were super proud that we didn't sound like,
it made you stand out.
Yeah, 80s, that horrible crashing snare drum machiney, horrible,
gated
sort
snares, yes.
Yeah, gated snares pop. But then again, because we stuck to our guns, we sort of became part of a scene which was the sound of the 80s. The guitar bands and the arpeggios, the jingle jangle, there was actually also the alternative thing. A lot of bands did end up sounding like that. But we weren't ever trying to, the audience sort of came to us. We sort of didn't go to the audience. And I think in art, in music, in lyric writing, in songwriting, for me, I just kind of want to be able to create what I want to create. And if somebody ends up, if it ends up being successful, then that's a bonus. Talking of Nick Cave, because we're still on the Ballad of Sweet Marie, I really like Nick Cave. I've seen him live when there was nobody there. I've seen him live when there was thousands of people there. I've stood in an audience where there's young people, old people, male people, female people, hip people, unhip people, gay people, straight people. It's like everybody across the board is in the audience at a Nick Cave audience.
True.
But what I don't understand is how come they like him? Because he's so left of center. What's going on there? Nick Cave has managed to stay completely and totally left of center and maintain a massive following. It's incredible, brilliant, well done, Nick. How did you do that? But another guy like that is Tom Waits.
Yes.
Tom Waits is another one who just kind of is left of center. But, you know, I mean, Leonard Cohen was kind of left of center. I guess it's a different era. But anyway, with Nick Cave, it's just amazing how the audience came to him. He didn't go to them, you know. And I think that's an important thing for an artist to have, you know, that attitude. We're not in it to be successful. We're in it to be true to ourselves and as good as we can be at what we do. You know, I can sing as well as I can sing. I can play guitar as well as I can play guitar, and I can write songs and lyrics as well as I can write songs and lyrics. And that's it. You know, I can't do any more than that. Hopefully people come along and go, yeah, man, it's so good. And, you know, we just cross our fingers and hope that's how people feel about it.
The spring arrives in shrouds and hoods. Darkness lingers in the woods. The flowers wither as they bud. The grass is browner than the mud. The swallow doesn't reach his tune. He left the south, arrived too soon. But is it not the month of May, with dancing girls and bales of hay? Pollen swollen from honeyed bees, tortoise shells and ears of seed. But stretch across a bloody sky, there's angels that are born to die. Calamities and all the myths in beauty's metamorphosis. But shadows reach across the lawn into the throats of the forlorn. They pull at hair, they punch your teeth, come from above and from beneath. They bring down branches from the trees, they make you buckle at the knees. They slip you pills that kill your sleep. They spin you tales that make you weep. They push you into darkened sheds. They plant odd thoughts into your head. They kiss your lovers in full view. They take the lies and make them true. They wish for things that they don't need and welcome Mephistopheles. Rusting hinges on the gates, shadows cast unsightly shapes. They disappear when you pursue, leave you there without a clue. Something lingers on your porch. You draw the curtain and drop your torch. A face stares back that cannot be, resembling your sweet Marie. Her life you took the day before and buried deep beneath the floor. Hallucinations fly like spears, voices penetrate your ears, and to the sound of guilty chants you slip into the devil's dance.
Well, at the end of the day, I think it's always about the music, and you've always done that, and obviously the X Band. Speaking of which, track 5, "The Roadmap to My Soul," of all of the songs on that album, that's one song that I thought could have fitted within the X Band on an album there somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right. Okay.
That was just my observation through my ears anyway.
Yeah. Well, it goes into that sort of big guitar solo thing at the end, which is actually me playing lead guitar on that. Yeah, but a couple of reviews have said that's the Motown sounding song, and I don't know if it's because it's got soul in the title, but I don't mind that though. I always liked Motown. People probably never thought that a guy like me was into Al Green and Marvin Gaye and the Four Tops and early Diana Ross and the Supremes, but I always loved that kind of music. This has got trumpet and sax on it, and it's got that sort of Clash of the Titans saxophone and lead guitar at the end of the song. Okay, if you think so, maybe,
maybe.
I didn't necessarily have that thought myself, but I remember feeling the uplift when all the horns and brass or whatever it was in there kicked into the song. I don't know if I thought soul though. That's two comments I hadn't considered when I listened to it, but I really did love it when the chorus came in and that all lifted up there. I thought it was wonderful.
Yeah, it sounds like a clash between giants.
Yes.
It's the fighting between because I think I'm playing my Les Paul in that solo, so it's got that kind of edgy rock and roll thing going on. Fighting with the saxophone. People who might not think they like saxophone will probably go, I don't know about that. But if you hear it, it's not really, it's not jazz.
No, definitely not. No.
On a list, underlined, there's a name I don't recognize. The sugar fix, the chemicals killing me as I say goodbye. In the mist, disappeared like a ghost. I felt like I had died. It's confidence in yourself, finally, that made you decide. Left me here on the wind, thanks to you, no chance to survive. I'm a wreck, a faded light flickering, extinguishing my life. But I shrug it off like drops of rain. Sorry that you can't control, manipulate the pain you've caused on the roadmap to my soul. Woke up late, it's all the same. The sun is gone, oh, I can't find my clothes. They're on the floor in a heap by the sink. I know where to go anyway. What's the point now? You got, oh, I am just alone. I'll pick it up and take a chance on myself, trying not to cry. I go to sleep, I hate the dreams, the storyline surrounded by the night, haunting me, pushing me, telling me a past that I denied. I'm frightened by the heart's extremes, how love just takes you down. All you do is shout at stars and watch them the roadmap to my soul. And the roadmap to my soul. And the roadmap to my soul.
Now, tell me, we don't have the green vinyl in front of us, but 5 tracks on side 1, 5 tracks side 2, or
Yeah,
6 and yep,
that's
okay.
right. Yeah.
By the way, the album cover, which I think Olivia did, is absolutely outstanding, and the green vinyl really works with the front cover.
Yeah, it's
really
nice,
like it.
isn't it? Yeah, the album cover, the photograph is taken by a friend of mine called Jan Udenfelt, who's one of my oldest friends in Sweden, and he actually took the pictures on the sleeve for the reissue of Hanging Out in Heaven, which is pictures of me as a young lad. And so he takes some photos, and he took some, I think he might even have taken some pictures on the inside of the Art Attack solo record. But he does these, he just is really good at getting textures, and seeing things. And I saw that picture, and it was like, oh, God. And then I came up with the title Poison Stream. And, we sort of been having these kind of, water themes, because the cover of the first MOAT album is Lake Titicaca, on the sort of Bolivian-Peru border. I took that photo out of a boat. And so there's a water theme, and then the second one, and MOAT, MOAT is a kind of a water theme.
Yes.
And the picture just seemed to suit the title, and the title seemed very appropriate for these days, streaming, the poison of the industry, what happened. Did you hear about the guy who owns Spotify, Mr. Ek, who's a Swedish guy? I have a lot of Sweden talk today. Ek, which means oak in Swedish, Mr. Ek. He just put in a bid for the Arsenal football team.
Really?
Wow.
Right? And because he's got so much money.
That's ridiculous.
And yet musicians are struggling to get a cent out of streaming. It's just, I don't know, really? It was hard enough. It was hard enough before. Now it's even harder. And the guys, why instead of buying a football team, why doesn't he give us all $1 more?
Yeah.
Well, it's called greed. You're 100% correct, but it's called greed, unfortunately. And he doesn't care.
I've had personal experience with this myself. My band put out an album in February last year. We've had thousands of streams. We really got quite a good response to it. I think we've made $48 so far. It's just, there's no money in it whatsoever.
Yeah. It's funny because it's not like I need a new Lamborghini, like he probably does. But I would like to sort of get my studio set up and my little house here in Portugal figured out, and be able to continue to work on projects with other people and make music and write like I do every day, and
or maybe just cover the costs of recording an album.
Yeah, that's right. Because you got to get a drummer in there, you got to get a tech to do the engineering. I'm not an engineer, so it's I mean, I do okay. You know, I sort of cover my costs, but I'm not sort of running. You know, I cover my costs and get to buy some records for the archive, which is obviously a labor of love. But I'm not sitting around going, should I take the pink yacht or the powder blue yacht?
Oh, definitely powder blue. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I thought.
Before we get on to side 2, the album is still available to buy directly from you, Marty? You've still got copies?
It's through School Kids Records in North Carolina.
Okay.
That's the place to get it. I don't have any copies here in Portugal. I got a few CDs. I don't have any vinyl copies here, and best place to get it is through School Kids Records in I was about to say Australia, through School Kids Records in North Carolina, which is my label, which releases all my records. That's my home, musical home. I've been working with Stephen there for a long time, and he's released Noctorum records, solo records, and also released the Atlantean Flood record.
Yes.
Did you ever get that?
We did, yes. Yep.
Yeah. So, which was a cool thing. Talk about a labor of love. Talk about a record that had no commercial value at all, but was people really liked that record. It was great for me to make an instrumental album. That's available at School Kids Records. Noctorum, solo albums, MOAT and School Kids, and Atlantean Flood are all available at School Kids Records on the site.
Well, our audience need to go to Dr. Google and and type in School Kids Records.
Or ring Nick or Matt at Red Eye in Sydney.
The wonderful Red Eye Records in Sydney.
Yeah,
absolutely.
If you phone up Nick at Red Eye. Say, "G'day, Nick.
There you go,
Marty,
mate.
tell me to call ya." You know.
Very good. Very good.
He might actually have a few copies of, because I know they bring in my records, and Red Eye big supporters of my stuff, which is great.
Excellent. Well, side 2, track 1 is an epic track in my view, and I've written here 10 out of 10. I've gone from a 5 out of 5 scoring system now to a 10 out of 10. I don't know.
Third red one.
No, I stopped at 2 last night.
Can you get a job at Rolling Stone, Q Magazine, Mojo, and Uncut?
Don't you worry about that. I started life in finance, went to the rag trade, and now I'm in radio. I can do anything. I'm unstoppable.
Right.
I'll do it.
consequence you forged. As we peacefully nullify the pain, on Judgment Day we'll see you all again.
Do it. Great way to start it. It's an epic track. What can you tell us about Judgment Day?
Judgment Day was one we originally wrote earlier, again, in the sessions for the first album, but never quite realized it. Bit of a tricky track to get it right. As you can tell, it's kind of stylistically and slightly on another planet than some of the previous songs. So we had to really figure out how to do this one. I actually ended up, has it got Nico, acoustic guitar, bass, keyboard? It's actually got written there, Nico, acoustic guitar, bass, keyboard. What it should say is acoustic guitar, bass, vocoder.
Ah.
You know, because the vocoder we used on this song is the vocoder that was used on the first X-Band album on the song Is This Where You Live.
Ah.
That's the same instrument which I bought off the singer, I don't know, decades ago, and I have in my studio. So we used that to get some of the sounds. The song idea, bit of a dystopian feeling in that song, of course. But the idea behind it was, you know how it's sort of got this intensity about it, and then it kind of opens out like a doorway into spring, you know, when it comes into that part where it goes, in the comfort of the consequence you forged. And the idea was that the verses were the devilish world in which we live, where we're being betrayed and people are being bad to you. But in the end, when we all die, we open up this door into this spring, this beautiful spring, and that's where you can wreak your revenge.
Nice. Love it.
The following song, track 2, side 2, Black and White, is a great follow-up track, very moody song. What's that one all about?
Black and White. Yeah, it's a sort of a bit of a racism awareness. It's that when people are angry about people from other countries,
yes,
or other immigrants or different races or people that aren't like them, it's just like so sad to see that those people who have so much anger in their souls for people from people who've come from such terrible situations themselves. They have no idea where these people fleeing from famine and war and terrible disease and stuff, and then they think they've come to a safe haven, and then somebody just like completely disses them or beats them up or attacks them for not being like them. And I just thought it's just kind of basically about that. And I think that Black and White, it's kind of in the title. Blaming everybody else. When I was a lad, I grew up in Liverpool in the north of England, and I don't remember seeing many people from other cultures there as a teenager. I never really. I remember we had one black kid at school. Vaguely remember having one black kid at school, but everybody was, Anglo-Saxon white males and Anglo-Saxon white females.
Yeah.
But as soon as I started to travel, and as soon as I got to London and started seeing there was lots of Arabic people and Indian people and people from all over the world, I was kind of interested rather than aggressive towards it. I was like, I felt like going up to them and saying, "Oh, hello," it's really naive, I know, and people are going to go, "Yeah, right, mine." But I felt like going up and going, "Oh, hello. Where are you from?"
I must admit, I could never understand it myself. I grew up in the western suburbs of Melbourne, and in the street that I grew up in, like, there was Maltese, there was Greek, there was, like every nation. I think we were actually the only, so-called white Aussies in the street. And I think it was the best thing that ever happened to me, because when I started traveling out in the world, I didn't notice any difference, It was just,
no, that's right. Yeah. I have this theory. If I was a fascist, right? If I was a fascist leader and I was in charge of the world, right? And I could say to people, "You must do as I say," I would. The first thing I would do is make travel compulsory.
Yes, it really does broaden the mind, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to go and live in India for 6 months.
Yeah.
Or France, or Scandinavia, or South America, or Africa, and just experience. Not that I've been to Africa or India, actually. Having said that, but the first girl I ever kissed was black.
The end is near. You taste the poison in the air. There's no one here. You can hardly move out of your chair. encroaching shadows everywhere. Inside your head as winter cracks and tells you it will never leave. So don't go back. There's nothing left here to retrieve. Resignation sneers at a reprieve. Black and white, the blinding light throws reason to the darks. Misinterpret, find the culprit, and sacrifice them to their gods. The belt is tight. The veins are raised below your skin. An awful sight. All paid up but can't get in. You're either too fat or too thin. No in between. You slink away and take it out on someone new. They're in your way. They'll beat them till they're black and blue. The only thing that you could do. Sunrise turbans, big suburban, different faces everywhere. Exotic spices fuel your vices as you spiral down to your despair. Black and white. 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 Black and white.
That's the other thing, just on that racism thing again. I mean, I was reading somewhere that I sort of never kind of really sort of determined people's races, and then I read somewhere that you should determine people's races because you have to respect all different races. Well, that's kind of a given. But I live in Portugal, and Brazil, which is Portuguese, basically was originally a Portuguese colony. I don't know if you've ever seen a Brazilian person, but you know what Brazilian people look like?
South America? Well, yeah.
Well, the thing with Brazilian people is that they're tall,
Yes.
short, black,
Yeah.
white,
Yep.
brown. Brazilian people come in all different shapes and colors and shapes. There is no Brazilian-looking person that is the archetypal Brazilian, and there's a tendency for us to think of and this is one of the most stupid things that Morrissey ever said when he said we're all more comfortable with our own race.
Yeah,
you
well,
know,
yeah, indeed.
which is one of the most stupidest things I ever heard in my life. And I guess all Morrissey fans are switching off right now.
Well, I think
having said that, I do have all of his records and continue to buy them, but and appreciate him as a lyricist, of course. Sure. Although his records do sound kind of samey to me, but as a lyricist, he's pretty cool. But you know, I don't feel. I mean, I don't feel more comfortable with my own race.
No,
when I lived in Ladbroke Grove, I had Yeb from Cameroon living in the one room with me. My wife is, I mean, I guess we're the same race, but she is from Germany. I've got a Swedish daughter. You know, my ex-wife Lucy is Australian. You know, I'm not happy with more comfortable with my own race. I'm more comfortable with people who are amazing.
Yes.
You know,
interesting people. Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, there you go. Enough of that.
Track 3, side 2, The Folly.
The Folly.
The violins are fantastic in this song. And it's kind of folky, but not.
This is the song, I must admit, from a musician's point of view, I found probably the most challenging, because there's some very, very interesting and different chord change things going on in here.
Yeah, this is a Nico classic, as far as the I mean, Judgment Day, we wrote the weird chords together. I think Black and White, a lot of it came from Nico originally. Maybe there's a few of my ideas thrown in there. But the Folly, it was completely a Nico thing, and I guess he arranged the strings, or he gave he gave it to these people, Marlin and Madeline, who play cellos and violins and violas, and asked them to do a little arrangement of this original chords, and I just wrote the melody and the words. So it's one of those things. It's kind of like Eleanor Rigby. Not that it's like anything at all like Eleanor Rigby. It's nothing at all like Eleanor Rigby, except for the fact that it's a song which probably McCartney wrote on his guitar, and then gave it to George Martin, and he then passed it on, or with him arranged it into a string song. You know, because Eleanor Rigby is a string song. Paul McCartney didn't sit in his front room in Liverpool or London with a cellist and a violinist writing Eleanor Rigby. You know, he probably wrote it on a guitar or a piano, and then George heard it and said, "Yeah, we should turn that into a string arrangement." That's exactly what Nico did with the Folly, and it's super cool when you hear your songs turned into, you know, aesthetically pleasing musical pieces played on cellos, violins, and violas. Nico playing classical guitar. Lyrically, the Folly. Well, you know, the Folly, kind of a sort of an ambiguous title. You know what a folly is. A folly. Do you know what a folly is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As in the building in the garden folly.
Yes, exactly. It's kind of like a building which exists for no reason. Somebody built a tower in the forest for no reason except for the fun of doing it, just for no actual reason. You know, also, you know, folly is, what is the actual dictionary definition of the word folly? I wonder, because it kind of incorporates that as well. Let me just write that in and see what exactly it says. Folly, lack of good sense, foolishness, a foolish act, idea or practice, follies of youth, the act of sheer folly, or a costly ornamental building with no practical purpose, especially a tower or mock Gothic ruin built in a large garden or park. So, you know, there is something about foolishness and the follies of love, and in this song. So I'm kind of trying to use, trying to sort of straddle that idea of something ornamental for no practical use, plus the errors and misjudgments we make about our lives. Yeah, that's the.
Seasons change and rearrange the textures in the trees. Then you arrive like bright sunlight and bring me to my knees. I question all my foolish acts, but answers never come. Realize that my demise is here and I'm undone. This is the folly of the soul. As victims, we are one. All good reason leaves the room and lands me here with you. Better judgment flown away. I have you through and through. No matter what the seasons tell of warnings and of change, fate is not for me to say, unable to arrange. This is the folly of the soul. As victims, we are saved.
Now, the second last track on the album, Lover, wow, the horns.
Yeah.
And it's sort of a 60s vibe, but not, and it's modern, and you've got a flugelhorn in there. Which I love the flugelhorn. Jack Howard from Hunters and Collectors plays a flugelhorn.
Yes, so he does, yeah.
So you've got saxophone, tenor, baritone, violins, cello lin. What's a cello lin?
Well, that's Olivia's invention. What it basically is her playing a violin with octave lower strings on it. And it sort of has a sound which I suppose is between or nothing like a viola or a cello, but lower than a violin. So it's just octave lower strings, but a violin with octave lower strings. Yeah. That one, I've got a lot of praise for that one. People really like that track. I was always a bit worried about that. I thought people might think it was a bit middle of the road,
Really? No, I wouldn't have
I love
thought
it.
Yeah. But then people started saying to me, hey man, it's so Bacharach,
Oh, I wouldn't have thought that.
Well,
either,
yeah, I can. Yeah, that's
can
where
see
I was
that.
getting the '60s thing from. There was a bit of
because it's got that trumpet that comes in and goes, bang, bang, bang,
Yep.
And
It's very good.
You can get some compliments, but when people start talking to you about Bacharach in your songs, then you can't beat that. As I say, it's people think of me as a crooner on that one when I sing, and when I reflect on easy day, all those breezy days, all those happy days, you know, that kind of thing.
You sound like Tom Jones then.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Tom Jones meets Frank Sinatra via Tony Bennett's house. Yeah.
Very good, very good.
Lover, tell the world and break the news. Strike a match, light the fuse. The shadow dancing on your cheek hides the truth in your eyes. I see reality when you lie. Lover, I can't bear to see your face. Or hear your voice. What a waste. I gave you everything I had. Shed my skin till I was raw. Go betray me now. Slam the door. Sacrificed 1,000 lives for your heart, for your kiss. Of all the girls in the world, it's you I miss. And when I reflect on all those easy days, all those breezy days, all those happy days, I collapse upon the thought of losing you. Lover, losing you. Lover, losing you. Lover, losing you.
Track on the album is a great way to finish it. Very uplifting and very. You talked about McCartney earlier, but it was a bit Beatlesque for me, sounding wise.
Oh right, yeah. It's kind of like could be a track off Ram or something.
Yeah,
maybe.
true.
Very
Good
much
point.
so. Yep,
Good point.
absolutely. My favourite McCartney album.
Yeah. It's just been reissued as a half-speed remaster. Did you see that? Double album.
I did indeed. But I've already got 3 copies and I'm not allowed to buy a 4th.
Yeah, I know. I want to buy it as well. It's really expensive, but I really like that record. It'd be great to have a brand new copy of it. I think it's like £35 or something. It's crazy for a record you've got 3 copies of.
Well, you cost me. I just have to interrupt. You cost me $70 Aussie, mate. because
Wow.
you told me that you bought Nick Mason's Saucer Full of Secrets, so I went out and bought a copy. My wife wasn't very happy with me because she doesn't
good
like
though, right?
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. I'm really surprised, and I watched the DVD as well, which I also bought. And I've watched it twice, and that band's fantastic. And Nick Mason is saying that he felt like it was back to the early days. The vibe in the band was like that, the essence of early Pink Floyd.
Yeah, it was great. I thoroughly enjoyed the record. I actually liked the record more than I liked the gig. Olivia and I saw them. You know, Olivia hosts this concert night of the Prague in Germany.
Yes.
And we saw them there. And I don't know, they were a little bit too Ferrari Owners Club off the yacht and straight onto the...
Oh, that was the Spandau Ballet influence, no doubt.
Yeah. You know, they're all wearing white sneakers and Hawaiian shirts. You know, Sid Barrett's sending his grave, you know.
He would, indeed.
But the actual, if you closed your eyes, I was okay. I just looking at them, it didn't seem right. It was really, you know. I say, Nick, you fancy a little spin in the Ferrari? You know, wait a minute. Let me just park the yacht, and then I'll be over there right away for a Campari and soda, and off we jolly will go. You know.
I've spilt something on my suede loafers.
That's right. It was a bit like that, but as I say, if you closed your eyes and just listened to it, it was great. You know, and that's why it's double album. That's why it's cool. It's a cool record because you don't have to look at them. You know, and when one of the things that drove me the craziest was when the bass player, what's his name?
Guy Pratt.
Guy Pratt duck walked across the stage during one of these days.
Yes, I know. I saw that.
I mean, come on, that's just not right.
No, it's not right. No. We want paisley shirts and yeah, I know. Well, I took my glasses off when I watched it. Now, sorry, I interrupt. Tears will come. Sorry, I got sidetracked with Nick Mason.
Right.
So it should have been on RAM.
Yeah, it should have been on RAM. Tears will come. That's another one I kind of mainly wrote myself with a little bit of input from Nico. I actually wrote, they had an old broken down guitar which wasn't tuned to anything, so I just turned the keys on it I came up with something that sounded vaguely like music, and then I just started finger picking, sitting outside the studio on a little bench. It's in the countryside out there in Sweden, and I came up with that down, that down, that down, that down, you know, and then I just started singing ba 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 da 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 da, and that's kind of how it was born. And Nico came along and added another guitar to it, just, you know, to blend two guitars playing that downward progression. Again, some more sort of dark, macabre lyrics. Finally, they're by the door, hoping not to feel their claws. More things about claws for some reason.
You like
Hear
claws.
them being dragged away. Still, they're back another day. Demons seem to come and go. When you're sad, they seem to know. Close your eyes, will go away. Don't look back to yesterday. You know, I sort of, when I close my eyes, or actually I don't even need to close my eyes, but when I think about that lyrically, I sort of keep on imagining these creatures trying to break into a isolated house, and they're kind of on the veranda, and they sort of they're breaking in, and then they go away, but they're not ever really gone away, and they're sort of like these demons that have escaped out of hell, looking to cause mischief with the humans. I don't know where I get these crazy ideas from, but
maybe a film script.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh God, I don't need to get into film. You know,
Don't go there, Steve. Don't go. There.
Yeah.
Peace will come to those that wait. outside the gates. Desperately they look around, trying not to make a sound. Still they come, still they come, still they come, they come, they come. Finally, they're by the door, hoping not to feel their claws. Hear them being dragged away. Still, they're back another day. Tears will come, tears will come. Tears will come, will come, will come. Demons seem to come and go. When you're sad, they seem to know. Close your eyes, they'll go away. Don't look back to yesterday. Still they come, still they come, still they come, they come, they come. Nothing wrong with feeling down. Replace your smile with a frown. Drink your tears, feel the pain. Soon you'll be alive again. Tears they come, tears they come. Tears they come, they come, they come.
Now, Marty, we're going to have to leave things there. But look, thank you so much for your time. We love the album. It's a great piece of work. We encourage our audience to spend their hard-earned and give the guys at Red Eye Records in Sydney a call, or go to School Kids Records and type in MOAT, M-O-A-T. And it's been a great chat. I'm sorry we could keep talking to you for another hour, I'm sure.
Yeah, man.
Easily,
Yeah. But we but we love doing it. And go out and buy the album. I'm doing a Molly Meldrum here. Do yourself a favour, go and buy the album. It's called Poison Stream. It's by MOAT. You've been with Steve and Bruce and Marty Willson-Piper talking about the new MOAT album. Marty, thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you again very soon.
Okay, thanks, guys. Cheers.
Always a pleasure, mate.
Yeah, mate.
You've licked the pages of your book, trying to find the right line. Then there it is, that famous quote that explains the way your life rip me apart. Acid rain falling down, burns my skin without a sound.